since there's several new board members, NALOA is the National Auctioneer Licensing Law Officials Association. They meet annually at the NAA convention, and Anna and I both attended the meeting. There were numerous states that commented not only in the meeting but also just kind of like side conversations about how to better regulate the auction industry when it comes to online auctions, especially, and it depends on what kind of auction you're in, obviously, but when you're at the NAA, you can see that it's very obvious that that auctions are moving to online. There are so many auctioneers there that don't even do bid calling any longer. Everything is 100% auction. So the question is, if they're doing an auction but it's online, then who's protecting the public? So there's numerous states talking about how to revise statutes and that type of thing. And so ask Anna, and she has put together some information to share with you guys as far as what states are doing or how she sees moving forward here in our state.
Well, let me say this, the various member states of NALOA have approached this from all directions. Can everybody hear me if I sit, or do you want me to come over?
No, we're fine.
Okay. Let me refresh the board on what our statute says. eBay came here some years back and attempted to regulate themselves, or basically get themselves out of our statute because they did not want to be regulated, nor did they want their trading assistants regulated. eBay licenses trading assistants. Basically, as sellers through eBay, they have an agreement with eBay. They have, some protection, and they did not want to be called auctioneers. They went to almost all the states at that time. Some states just simply said trading assistants are not covered, and I've looked back and they haven't changed that. Our state basically says that in our definition section 3103, auction house, auction company, and auction business shall not mean an entity which sells property through an internet-based trading platform unless such entity's activities constitute an auction as defined in paragraph 3 of this subsection. And also for auctioneer says, shall not mean a person who sells property through an internet-based trading platform unless such person's activities constitute an auction as defined in paragraph 3 of this subsection. The main intent of eBay at that time was to literally have timed auctions online basically accepted from a regulation by the states. As best I can tell, and I did hear a talk some years back by eBay and one of their representatives to the effect of they're not so strong about that anymore, for various reasons, not the least of which they were getting all the complaints. So I think they recognize it. The states, however, all have had different reactions. Again, as I said, some don't mention it at all. Some states do specifically either exempt trading assistants, or in some cases exempts part of the internet process. 2 states, the one that came up at the NALOA meeting was Pennsylvania. They have just rewritten their statute to basically face all types of online auctions, including live auctions, online auctions, real-time auctions, extended auctions, etc. Extended auctions being the type of auction where you have automatic extension of bidding is still continuing at the deadline on a timed auction. Most states, as I understood from our meeting, are taking the position that is occurring. It is no longer a timed auction, but now is becoming an auction responsive to bidding, and that would bring them within our statute as an actual auction under a definition. They also added in Pennsylvania a definition which says any similar such events as may be devised with the development of technology. So they're hedging their bets, because we don't know. Every time we change this, technology takes a step further. So they're reserving the right to determine what's an auction, no matter what the technology is. They've also defined bidding platforms, real-time auctions as opposed to asynchronous auctions, so that, and they've actually done trading assistance and trading assistant companies. So, they're doing that, and they're basically taking the position that it is occurring within the Commonwealth, how Pennsylvania calls itself, including on-site auctions and auctions held auction houses and temporary venues, including online, that are conducted live and online contemporaneously. If they're done in Pennsylvania in some fashion, they have to have a license through Pennsylvania. Now, I will tell you that Texas, a few years ago in 2013, basically have added internet auctions to their licensing. Last year, they took it back out again. So they also, by the way, took out the apprentice auctioneer, basically eliminating that, and the apprentice auctioneers are back in Texas as of last year, according to what I read on their website. So, at this point, my recommendation would be, and what we're doing right now, if it's a simulcast auction and the live portion of the auction is being conducted in Louisiana, we take jurisdiction, you have to have a license. If it's a movable property in the state of Louisiana, and this is also the position, as I understand it, of the Real Estate Commission, you have to have a license. And even if it's online. And the same thing for motor vehicles. If you're selling motor vehicles that are titled in Louisiana and are present in Louisiana online, you must have a license. I think that right now, anything that simulcast has to have a license. And I don't know that anybody's disputing that. The question would be solely online auctions, which are not live, which are basically being conducted by a company elsewhere. That would be the problem that all the states are facing, and I didn't, unless you heard something, I don't recall anyone being able to answer that question, including people who understand how it works. What we took the position of before all of this started was that if the server that was basically the source of the internet platform was located in Louisiana, we took the position they had to have a license through us because they were providing the platform. Now we have a number of platform companies that are international, because we talked to all of the proxy bid, Flex, Auction Flex, excuse me, and a few others at the NAA, and they're all basically providing a platform, but they're not actually doing the auction. It's the local auctioneer who is doing the auction, and they're uploading it and broadcasting it out. So we could take the position that if that auctioneer using any of these online platforms is located in Louisiana, then we would have to come in and ask them to have a license.
Is the local auctioneer might do this anywhere in Louisiana online?
Mm-hmm.
They already currently have to have a license, correct?
If they're doing, what has been the problem in the past, if they're solely online and not simulcast or a live auction that's being conducted both, or they're doing everything online, basically, there's no live auction. Those are two different things. So if they just posted everything online, we have not been requiring a license.
Actually, the board doesn't have jurisdiction. I would like to request that perhaps you give us all of that in writing, all that information. I would like to look at it because my new auction house, which I'm working on right now, is going to be heavily involved in those online auctions. I don't know what I can do, what I can't do, and I'm going to stay within the confines of the law.
Robert, here's a question. Judge Jacob and I, we do equipment auctions, we're doing a live auction somewhere in Louisiana. All this stuff is on the internet service.
Also,
We do have to have a license.
Right.
For the live auctions, you have
For
to.
live auctions, it's broadcast over the internet. Yes, we have to be licensed. But if it's straight out of an internet auction,
If I was doing something eBay-like, where it's not necessarily live, but it's online, then I
Well,
would,
Yeah, we've had a few like that where it was online. The auctioneer could be in Texas or Oklahoma, but they're selling property located in Louisiana. I took the position, I have to take the position, that if it's located in Louisiana, even if it's movable, that they really need to have a license in Louisiana. There has been a lot of online purely auctioneers and auction houses that heard about all of this and think they're all exempt, so they're not trying to be. So, and let me say this, the same exemptions apply. I had one that was selling real estate through bankruptcy court. I can't, that's purely exempted, yeah, it's almost all the states exempt bankruptcy auctions. Charitable auctions are exempt. A lot of those livestock auctions are exempt. All of those are just generally not what we're talking about.
but do the majority of states mirror what we do as far as licensing an auctioneer who's going to do a live
Yes.
online auction?
Pretty much, the
versus
general
not
consensus,
doing
either they're not mentioning it specifically, so
Okay.
they're considering it just an auction, or they're mentioning it specifically as a simulcast, where you have a live auction. We had the case in Shreveport years ago where we had an auctioneer who did things on live TV. And they said, oh, well, we're not in an auction house. No, they were calling it on television and people were calling in. That's covered, as far as we're concerned, as under the statute requiring a license. Same thing with the internet, it's just a different platform. So we take the position that anything that's a live auction, the only thing that leaves out is timed auctions and auctions which are out of state, which are never going to be, basically conducted in the state. And that takes in to some extent eBay, but eBay really is getting to act more pleasant and less like an auction. Whenever I go on now,
It's more like a swap meet of sorts.
it's a pay me this much money. Yeah, we do have some Facebook issues too that everybody's aware of, but I'm not sure anybody's been able to resolve that because you have to be a member, et cetera. And we've had that in the past, especially in central Louisiana. So I think Jim had looked at one of those.
Yeah, well, if you don't mind, I'd like to take a little bit of time to talk about that and one of our auctioneers actually approached me about this in central Louisiana. There's using Facebook as a platform where essentially you like something and that's your bid. And somebody else can like it, and somebody else could like it, and somebody else could like it, and that's how it goes up. I can't prove it, but I'm fairly certain that nobody's paying sales tax. They meet at a parking lot, and I mean it's like a not so subtle drug deal,
I'm not so sure drugs aren't being sold though, by the way, but
Yeah.
because anything can be sold this fashion.
Yeah, and they just meet at this parking lot, and that's where the goods and the money exchange, but the bids are actually on Facebook. And I'm fairly certain that this is happening in every community because I know that there's a similar platform in Livingston as well as in Zachary now that's doing the same kind of thing. So I don't know what to do about it. It's really a Department of Revenue issue, I suppose, because the people that are running it, the moderators, are actually getting some compensation out of it. And so therefore they're running it as a business. In fact, the lady that I met in central Louisiana, when I went up there and just said, hey, what y'all doing out here? She laid the whole thing out to me. And she runs it as a business. She used to own a secondhand shop, but this was more lucrative because she doesn't have to pay licensing, she doesn't have to pay sales tax. And I mean, I sent it to the Department of Revenue, nothing came of it. But again, I'm fairly certain this has happened, this underground economy is happening throughout the state and probably throughout the nation.
Let me give you another interjection of what's going on. Anna, you might want to watch this, you're aware. As of last Wednesday, I received an email, a joint email from Richard Brothers Auction Corporation, Iron Planet Auction Corporation. Iron Planet is the world's largest online heavy equipment auction. Ritchie Brothers is the world's largest live drive-over auctions for equipment in the world. Ritchie Brothers has purchased Iron Planet. They hope to close it sometime in the early first or second quarter of 17. Both of them are public traded companies. But there was 5 auctioneers scattered all over the United States that went together to form Iron Planet. And now they've sold it out, and it is a timed auction now. I don't know that they extend times on it, you, Jason? Sometimes they might, but like I said, mostly, you might want to look into that, but that's, everything's going to this internet deal.
Everything is gonna be internet. I think, Anna, if it's not too much trouble, if you can give us a synopsis of what you just testified to, I think would help everybody.
Well, and let me say this, Mike Brandley, who was one of the instructors, at, did the
Yeah.
basically has a blog online. He needs to update his because it doesn't reflect the changes in Texas and Pennsylvania. So, you know, basically, I'm gonna ask him to do that while also giving you that. The question is, you know, what does the board wants to do, if anything, at this point? Facebook auctions is that new technology that Pennsylvania is just throwing out there, because no one right now is regulating Facebook. And their businesses up the yin-yang.
One issue is how much revenue, if it's regulated by the state of Louisiana, how much revenue would that bring to the state? I think a considerable amount from what I see.
Yes, because you testified, there's no sales tax.
And then I think it becomes a matter of the legislature to decide whether or not they're gonna regulate and get that money. Because if it's not regulated, then you don't have to pay the sales tax and everything else that goes on.
Well, see, here's the deal with sales tax on internet auction. I'm selling equipment, it's domiciled in the state of Louisiana. If somebody in the state of Louisiana buys it, the tax is collected. If somebody from out of state buys it across the internet, and it leaves the state by common carrier, there's no tax period.
Right. Well, I mean, it could be a considerable amount of money
So,
that the
I
state
mean, a lot of
itself.
states are trying to get their tax laws amended to collect tax on the internet, period.
And maybe Louisiana should be one of them because we have a crisis right now with revenue.
I agree.
I don't remember if that was something that was brought up in this past legislative session. I think it's gonna be something.
I think they're looking around for money. I think you have to look around in every nook and corner to see where we got a huge budget for
They
the
address
governor's
something with internet
prediction.
auction.
And these internet auctions, I mean, they're going out of sight.
Oh,
Out
I
of
mean,
sight.
internet sales, let me
Right.
rephrase that. They did something on
Yeah,
internet
right.
sales.
Everything is going internet
I
right
don't know what.
now, including immovable property.
So I guess what I'm saying is I'll go ahead and do that.
That would really
Wanna
help a lot. I would
Refer
appreciate
and make a decision.
Right.
I don't know that we need to change our statute, we certainly can to make it clearer. You know, because if we rule that an auction includes this extended auction, and basically as long as you're bidding it times out, and all the platforms we talk to are doing it, and all the private internet companies we talk to are doing it. They've gotten off this time because what happens is people wait the last minute and the bids start going up and they're missing out, so they want to extend it. If we say, if you extend it, you're subjecting yourself to regulation. I don't know what would happen, but certainly it's something we should consider. I think it's appropriate. As far as the Facebook issues and other online auctions that are going on, that some may be just impossible to regulate because you can't find them. And that was the problem with the Facebook issue.
Well, I would love for us to be as proactive as possible on this. So I guess whatever you have in the current statute and any suggestions, and we can just take it to the board and discuss it further.
and to be honest with you, I'm sort of waiting to see, to some extent, this Pennsylvania statute, which is explicit. We talked to the attorney and the executive director, they've combined the two. And I'm sort of waiting to see what kind of response he's gonna get from some of these companies, because they're very proactive, through their statute. And I know what happened in Texas, where Texas backed off of it. I don't know, and sometimes it's impossible to find out what goes on in Texas behind the scenes, as far as why they do what they do. But, I think that would be very informative as far as what we need to do, because if Texas backed off because they started getting sued, or there was some issue with regard to litigation, then that would be something we would need to take consideration for.
I would see you, or I forward saying that, that agreement that was sent to me between Ritchie Brothers and Iron Crown, because I know both of those are licensed. So, I don't know who the qualifying party is, Iron Management, they're both licensed in Louisiana, up for recently, Iron Management did on-site auctions, capital.
Unless you have any other questions, that's the internet online auction, discussion. I'll go ahead and put this into writing and, see if we can find out more, check with Pennsylvania, to see what kind of response they're getting from their new statute. And see, does anybody know, if you know anybody in the, on the Texas board, or who works for Texas, you know, they have a joint, state agency, so sometimes it's a matter of calling people till you get the right one, and sometimes you never get that right one. So if you know that person, if you would let us know, I'll be glad. We have one contact, I know, in Texas, I believe.
We know who the attorney is.
Right. And I know the person that we can contact in Pennsylvania. So we'll keep checking with those to see what's going on as far as a proper response to get back to you. We need anything else.
All right, so no further discussion, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And I second.
Second,